Hello and welcome back to my Flosstube. I'm Kathy Turnbull and this is Turnbull's Threads, Flosstube, YouTube. Basically a place where I talk about the things that I'm making. Primarily knitting and cross-stitching. So with that briefly said, if you want to know more about me, there's probably previous videos you can watch that have more. So starting out, what I'm wearing, because this is something that I've made, so this is the Summer Love by Janine Whale. Summer Love sweater. It's a very fun knit, something that I'd never done before. Has beautiful detailing, as you can see in the front, and then you have some options for your sleeves, which get really fun and interesting. I really enjoyed it, and if you are with me and like to knit, this one's a fun one. I highly recommend. But the reason why I'm wearing it today is because the last time everybody saw it, it was not blocked. So now you can actually see the difference that blocking does make. So let me see. Yeah, you can see the eyelets have really opened up in my sleeves. It's a bit bigger than it was when we last saw it. You can actually see like it really is a drop shoulder construction. And then like everything is kind of opened up better. So just kind of wanted to be like, this is what it looks like after blocking because it's so good. So with that being said, I'm going to first talk about some of my finished stuff, both knitting and cross stitch, and then we'll do the usuals. Finished, works in progress, plans, and I didn't really have any haul this last month that I'm gonna talk about. So, yeah, that's where I am. So, obviously, first fully finished item is the one I'm wearing because this was not fully finished last time we saw it. The next thing that I'm gonna pop up here is this one. Oh, it's a something cowl. I'm blanking. But it's fully finished now because I went through and blocked it essentially. So last time you saw it, it wasn't quite square. Now it's square. It's properly blocked. Fully finished now. Yay! Likewise, this guy is fully finished. So blocked, you can see it's a little bit more drapey. If I were to put it on, you would see that the arms are a little bit longer. It fits better. Really happy with it. Lazy Cat Cardigan by Veronica Lindbergh. Really fun knit. Yeah. And then I have one more fully finished object. This one was where the bulk of my time went this month because it was a test knit, and yeah, I had to get finished by, when did it have to, when was the deadline? So originally the deadline was the end of June, but now it's the end of July because that's when she's planning on releasing the pattern. So I'm not allowed to show it in its entirety. It is teasable, but I still have to keep it somewhat secret. So, that being said, the Sweet Poppy pullover is this guy. And I think I'm just gonna try and show a little bit of the detailing. So, on the arms, they have these really nice, like, poppy decals that go up it. Which are fun to knit. It's a different technique, hadn't used it before. I ended up having a little bit of a fudging on her particular pattern because the sleeves were not quite long enough. and I hit basically a pattern of one of the poppies in where, like, right where it should have ended was where one of the poppies was going to show up. So I basically smudged a little bit on her instructions in terms of like exactly where to end it and how to do the end of the sleeves, just because, yeah, it was the very end and I was running out of yarn. I literally have that much. That is all the yarn I have left. Everything else went into this. So yes, some slight yarn chicken was in play in the making of this sweater. This is Fatigue Green, the Vita Lana Ascendance by Knit Crate. I don't know if it's actually available anywhere anymore, but lovely color. Enjoyed working with the yarn. Lovely pattern. Enjoyed the pattern. When it comes out, take a look at it. It's the Sweet Poppy Pullover by Jennifer Owens. Should be out by the end of July, if things go according to plan. So you can look forward to that. And then I will actually get to show you like the whole thing instead of just like, oh looky, sneak peek. But yes, let me hide it again. So that covers all of the finished items that I had in my knitting life. In my cross stitch life, I had one finished item. And it's actually a fully finished item. Haha. So I finished this. So this is the Mill Hill Kit Peony, I believe. Let's see if... Are we going to focus? Or... Yeah, we don't really focus. Anyway, oh, we did for like a second. Yeah. Anyways, I'll probably take a picture of it, make it look better. So this is a magnet. And let's just say this is... So this is the first time that I've finished something as a magnet. It was the second time doing a Mill Hill kit. The first time I did not finish it according to the instructions. The way that I attached the felt onto my ornament that I showed you last time is I backstitched it. So there's the only thing that's keeping the felt on the back of the ornament is the backstitch that I did around the edges. And in their instructions on how to finish off their Mill Hill kits, they're like, oh, you should either use like interfacing or glue, right, to glue your felt or backing piece onto your little cross stitch piece. So this originally had a different backing. So I was like, okay, I can figure this out. I can do this. I've never done it before. I've never used like an interfacing, fusible interfacing, but I was like, that's the way I want to go. I don't want to use glue because if something goes wrong, I want it to be relatively fabric safe, and cross stitch safe. And yes, I know they probably wouldn't say use thick white glue unless it was, but I still felt like I would feel better if I was using something that is meant to be used with fabrics instead of whatever crafting white glue I could find. Because yeah, it's not specific on like what type. It's not like, oh, you should be using Elmer's craft glue or you should be using Mod Podge. It's like, use a thick white glue. Okay, not helpful. Love instructions like that, so helpful. If you're gonna do that, like, give me an example of what type of thing I should be looking for, please, instead of just being that vague. Anyways, long tangent aside, I went on a hunt for some fusible interfacing. So I ended up at Michael's and walked down their aisles and found eventually something that was like an iron thing, right? So you iron it onto the fabric you're planning on to attach, and then you iron that fabric onto what you're attaching it to, and between the two of them magic happens and you bond things together. Yes. So I had a different backing picked out. It had a little bit of a plastic feel to it, and you can see exactly where this is going if you've done anything with irons and plastic. So I have it all cut out, and I put the initial fusing on it because you're doing it over, it has a paper, like a paper lining that you, so it has like a sticky side and a paper. And you put the sticky side onto the thing that you're gonna iron it. You put the ironing, like the surface of the thing that's being ironed against your ironing board, and then you iron on the fabric so that it will stick to the initial fabric. That went fine, nothing happened, it looked fine. So I was like, okay, we'll try the putting it on. Yeah, I definitely melted that fabric onto my lovely iron. So I was like, oh, that's sticking. It's not supposed to be doing that. Let me find a butter knife. So we went through and we scraped off the melted hunk of plastic that was the previous backing off of the iron. I think the other one would work if you had something in between the plastic like backing and the iron. So like if I had I might try it again and do like a piece of like parchment paper in between the two, and see if that will help. Granted, I could be going down this all wrong, and that would be something that I just have to eventually glue on. Have to find the magic white glue that you should use for doing this. Yeah. Anyways, so yeah, ruined that one. Thankfully, it did not ruin the ornament or the cross stitch that it was being attached to at the time. They came apart beautifully. So then we did round 2. And for round 2, I went for a felt that I had that did not feel plasticky, that felt very felty. It still ended up sticking to the iron when I put the iron on the back of the felt. So you put the iron on the felt for 8 seconds or something like that. And when it did that, it stuck to the iron. Again, I was like, oh no, please no. So immediately found my butter knife again. Scraped it off and was like, oh, okay, good. Things are fine. Yeah, so butter knives and ironing, who knew? Let it cool down and then use basically super glue to attach the magnet to my felt. But yes, that is a long-winded story to tell you that this was a pain to fully finish. It got done, and I'm very happy with the end results. But yeah, there were definitely some stuff in the middle where I was like, okay, I'm not sure if I'm gonna maybe be able to get this to work. But it did. I figured it out. We will do it in the future. I will be careful about which things I use and how I attach my backing to my cross stitch in the future. So, just in case you're wondering, things you should know about attaching your cross stitch to other stuff. Speaking of these, so obviously this is the second mill hill kit that I've done. I really super enjoy them. I do enjoy working with the parchment paper. It works out really well for me. And I don't know, like, if you happen to have seen my reel on Instagram, I do show kind of how I hold my parchment paper, because I hold it in a way that makes it really hard for me to accidentally bend it. Now, it does bend if, like, you do like I typically do and throw it in your book bag and are not super careful about what you stuff near it. I have had a couple of edges bending on that. User error. But by me handling it, I typically don't have issues with it bending. So if people would like to see how I actually do that, please let me know in the comments. I would be happy to do like a quick, this is how I go about doing meal hauls. I know that I do things slightly differently than probably the accepted on some things. So yeah, when watching Stephanie and Allison and their one of their like how to handle flosses, which by the way, thank you for mentioning me again in the last Flosstube or Flosstube before that. I don't know, sometime there. They talk about like don't pull it and how they manage it, and I was like, yeah, I don't handle my floss the same way as you guys. I actually do that. So I do handle my floss differently. I usually cut it into, I don't know, roughly from my middle finger to about halfway up my arm. That's the length that I feel comfortable working with when I'm doing my cross stitching. And then I will cut it typically off, or typically it's 4 lengths if it's in the DMC thing, and then once it's on the bobbin, I kind of guesstimate about how long I want it to be. But 4 lengths of a DMC thing, and then I will cut that piece. I cut the piece, and then I will, because those are 6, I'll take the 2 strands that I'm interested in and basically peel it like a banana, which Allison says not to do, but I totally do every time. It would not work if I didn't have a 3rd area of tension on it. So you can't just like peel it like this, because that you end up with a tangle and it's a pain. There's kind of 2 ways that at least I go about doing it. Like you hold the 2 and you can either strip the other ones off, which does leave them a little bit more tangly than the other way, or you can peel it, but you have to hold, so you have to hold 3 places, right? You have to be splitting it, so you have to hold 2, and then you have to have a 3rd to basically keep the tension on the rest, like the 6 strands together. And when you do that, you can basically peel it apart. And that's how I go about doing it. I know it's different and it's probably not correct, but that was how I figured out how to do it. So that's how I do it. And I'm more comfortable with that rather than pretty much any other way that I've seen. But yeah, so I do that. And like with the floss from the mill haul kits, like they come in I think probably 1 yard lengths. I cut them in half automatically and then do the 3, and then when I do them I also separate, like once I have the 3 strands that I'm planning on working with, I then separate the 3 of them before bringing them back together. That way they lay a little bit flatter and they're not twisted. Yeah, so long tangent to say, if you're interested in seeing how I manage my stuff, feel free to let me know. I would be more than happy to do a couple of quick, like, this is how I hold the piece of parchment, perforated paper, parchment paper. This is how I hold the perforated paper. This is how I start. This is where I start because I don't believe in finding the center and doing it that way. I do edges. I find the edge where I want it to be, and I do it that way, and I find that works fine. Beading, I don't know if I do it differently. I haven't actually seen anyone say how they go about beading it. I would assume that I'm doing it the same way as everyone else, but who knows? Anyways, if you want to see any of that, let me know. Long ramble done. Let's get into the works in progress that I've been doing. So, I'm going to start off with my knitting again and then go into cross stitch. So, knitting works in progress. I actually have a ton this time. Some probably would have been finished if I had had enough yarn. So I have the Stay Up Till Dawn sweater, which is by Veronica Lindbergh, and I'm doing this in Bernay Softy, Comfy Softy? I think it's Comfy Softy, in the color Dark Mauve. So this is where this one is at. I have finished the body and I have started my sleeves, and I'm about, where am I on my sleeves? I think I know I've got at least a couple of inches left to finish out. I think I'm 4 minimum inches left. So this is 2 big balls of it that I got on sale a while back. This is actually something that I started for Stash Bus Spring by aka Nora Knits. Thanks for that. The whole idea of this knit along was to get some of the stuff that you have in stash out of stash and into items, right? Don't just keep hoarding yarn, actually use the yarn you've been hoarding. You don't need to be a dragon entirely. You can still stay minorly a dragon, but use some of the stuff that you've bought instead of just continually buying new stuff. So this was something that I started with that. It was also my work knit because this is a lovely stockinette in the round. So the Stay Up Till Dawn sweater is by Veronica Lindbergh. It's a really enjoyable pattern. It goes really fast because these are size 11, so 8mm needles, so super big, which means that your knitting goes super fast. But I ran out of yarn. So I played yarn chicken and lost. This is the yarn that I have left, and these need 4 more inches. This is not 4 more inches of yarn. So I had to order new yarn. It did just come in, so it will go back to being my work knit. And hopefully the yarn that came in will match well with the previous lots. I'm sure they're going to be different dye lots. Hopefully they match very well. If not, it was a design choice, and let nobody tell you any differently. It was definitely a design choice. So that is the Stay Up Till Dawn sweater, one of my works in progress. The next work in progress that I worked on was this guy. So this is the Katrina rib for IT, or Haiti. And it's an interesting kind of traveling rib in Rainfall, the color Rainfall. I don't remember exactly what the name of the yarn is. It's originally supposed to be a tee, but yeah, I tried it on and went ha 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 ha, it's too warm. The weight, so I'm using a weight of yarn that is appropriate according to the pattern, but it is warm, and there's no way that I would ever wear this as a tee. I have a fingering weight wool tee that actually like is something that I can wear as a tee. It's warm, but it's something I can wear as a tee. This, no, there's no way I would ever wear this as a tee. So I kind of stalled on it a little bit. It was my at-work project, and then I hit that realization and was like, what am I going to do with it? And I'm still on the, what am I going to do with it? I need to figure out how exactly I'm going to edit the arms so that it is more appropriate to what I really want. But in the meantime, I was like, okay, I need to finish off the end. So I finished off the end. It's a length that I'm happy with. I've got my arms on the sleeves that they're gonna, or on the needles that they're gonna be on. I just essentially need to start knitting it. We'll start knitting and like see where life takes us. That's all I got on that one. The next thing that I have been working on has been this guy. So this one is so fun. So this is the Shift Cowl by Andrea Mowry. So it's starting out like this, and I am at least through the halfway mark on it. So I am knitting this with Malbrigos Rios in the colorways Aniversario, Zarzamora, and an unknown because it's gone. I think it's Rios. Or maybe it's like Rio Grande. Anyways, so I am getting close to getting finished with this. It's a really fun pattern. It has an integrated I-cord bind off on the top and on the bottom, and then you'll finish off with an I-cord bind off. Some very fun slip stitches to actually make the pattern. And I've really been enjoying doing this. Yeah, this was the knit. This is also one of the Stash But spring knits that I've been working on. And this took the place of my test knit, which was also a Stash But spring start. So this took that place as my kind of like more focused knitting project, because although I have been doing a lot more cross stitch lately, yes, I'm still a knitter and I enjoy it, and I wanted a fun small project to go along with it. So the almost final, my penultimate works in progress is this guy. So this is what I have started. Not much. I do have some fun stitch stoppers on these though. So stitch stoppers are the things that go at the end of your needles to keep your stuff from sliding off. And I have a bunch of different ones. So on my last project, I had, let me show these. So I have little octopi. Yep. See, it's a little octopus. It's so cute. And then on my Katrina rib, I have little kitties. And this one, I have cute bats. They're really cute when they're used as stitch stoppers, so they're not cute when you find them in your house. So this is my very short start. I only have a couple inches worked up on it, of the Mysterium, which is a tee by Dear Ingenue. I know, Dear Ingenue. So I'm working this up in a cotton yarn from Darn Good Yarn called, I believe, Mermaid Scales. I have no idea if it's still available or not. I got it a while back. And I am alternating skeins of yarn as I'm doing it. That way, because it is a very, like, there's variegated yarn, like, I don't know if you can see, but it's like a blue and purple variation, and then when you actually look at the two different ones, one of them is a little bit darker more consistently than the other one is. So like it's a darker, like this one is a darker blue than this one. So light blue, dark blue. And you can tell that kind of wherever I move it, right? You can see that one is more saturated than the other. And so if I didn't alternate, what you would end up with is you would have a light block, and then when I add in the darker color, a dark block, and I didn't want that. So I've been alternating my skeins of yarn to hopefully help mitigate that. This was what became my at-work project when I ran out of yarn on my Stay Up Till Dawn sweater. It'll go back on hold while I finish up that one though. And then the final thing that I've been working on is not really a knitting process so much as it is putting things together. So this is where I've gotten. So this is going to be a blanket, obviously. I'm now putting it together, or at least starting to put it together. So this is actually a bunch of acrylic yarn from a bunch of different projects. So if I had leftover acrylic yarn, what I would go ahead and do is make one of these blocks. So I'd accidentally made one of these blocks out of acrylic, and then realized it had to be cotton because the original pattern is actually for a dishcloth. And then once I did that, I was like, well, I can't use an acrylic yarn as a dishcloth. It's just not going to work, because acrylic is basically a plastic, and you don't want your dishcloths to be plastic because it will not absorb water, and if it does not absorb water, it's not going to do a very good job of cleaning your dishes. You can get some, like for scrubby stuff, that would be fine, but for like this, which is more expected to be like a wipe off kind of thing, it doesn't work if it's acrylic. It needs to be cotton. So yes, mistake. But I made that mistake more purposeful by making more of these so that it will eventually become a blanket. And I'm actually fair way through. I'm not sure exactly how wide / long it's going to be. I think I have found enough squares. I know I have more somewhere. Where it is a good question, somewhere. But of the ones that I have found, I know I have enough to make a 4x4 square. So that's what I started doing. Started basically putting them together. So old projects like this red, left over from when I knit that blanket. Ditto on the green and the orange that are in here. This blue was from, I believe, a pair of booties that I had made. I don't remember what the black is from. I don't know. I might have used it to make like a small purse and held it with like an eyelash yarn. I think that's where I used this one, but I'm not entirely sure. No idea on the green. I think it might be a gift that I gave to someone. The tan. It's probably a gift. Probably a gift or like a scarf. This variegated one, that was left over from a scheme that I used to make a scarf. So you got things like that. Like, it's kind of fun going through it and being like, oh, I remember that project, or I don't, like, what in the world, what did I do with that? What was that yarn for? So it'll be fun once it's finished. That's probably far in the future. But that was the last of my works in progress on my knitting side of things. So now that I have talked about all my knitting, we're going to switch gears, and now we're going to talk about all of the things that I've been cross-stitching in the meantime. So I've worked on a bunch of things lately. So let's get started. The first thing that I'm going to pull out is this. So this is actually cross stitch that I rescued. In other words, I found it at a thrift store around me and was like, oh, I'll take that. Like, I don't know how many people around here do cross stitch, but I will definitely take and make these things. So this is what I have started. So this is going to be the owl in, let me see if I can pull out, yeah. So this, so it's 2 bookmarks, and I've started the owl one of it. This is by Verico, a product made by Vertart, NV, Belgium. I have no idea where anyone got this, but I put in basically 2 threads, a brown and a black one. And it's going well. I have already had to play frog. I miscounted. So we've already done the frogging thing on it. There may be more frogging in the future. It's not really well color blocked. It's a lot more confetti, and so you have to count. You have to count, and you have to count well. And if you're distracted or doing things like watching Flosstube, you may lose count, possibly. The next thing that I've been working on has been a Flosstube3, a charmed ornament, another Mill Hill cat. Festival of Trees. This one is the silvery tree. And I have gotten pretty far. This is the one where I did state that, yes, I have been putting it in my book bag and it has been squished. So the edges kind of curl and there might be a little bit of fun. But I am so I finished all of the dark blue in the pattern, and I'm about halfway done with all of the white that goes on it. So I'm decently through with it. It's a really fun travel one, so I don't typically work on it at home. This is more like a throw it in my purse, throw it in my book bag. If I have spare time, either at work or somewhere else, I'll pull it out and work on it. Let's see. Next, we're gonna talk about one of my fancy ladies. So this is Stargazer, which is the one that I haven't worked a ton on. I do have more of her dress in, but I haven't worked on this as much as I probably would like to. So this one I've been doing in the called for colors on the not called for pattern. Not called for pattern. On the not called for background. So this is India Ink by Jackson Fiber Arts. It's a really, really gorgeous fabric. See that? It's lovely. And this is my leap year, Mirabilia leap year start. One of the 2 that I started. So my goal is hopefully to finish this by leap year of next year, or the next leap year. I think I can meet that goal, but we shall see. We shall see. I need to put more. I need to put more effort into her in order to do that. Don't I? The next thing that I did was actually a new start. So I started the Keep Calm and Freak Out fob by the Sweetheart Tree. So really cute, I love it. One side says keep calm and carry on, and then you flip it around and it says now panic and freak out. And I enjoyed that so much. My plan is to finish these, and then it's going to go with me to work, and it's going to be on my cubicle on the outside, and I will get to flip it depending on my mood that day. So if it's a good day, we will have the keep calm and carry on one. If things are going crazy, we might be flipping it to the now panic and freak out. It'll be fun. So I started it. They call for you putting it on a Lugana. I now know why they call for you putting it on a Lugana. So what do they exactly say? 28 Lugana is what they want you to stitch it on. I, in my infinite wisdom, am stitching it on a 14 count Ada. So the count is identical. The problem is not the count. The problem is the fact that they have a bunch of stitches that are, so the back stitch is in the quarter section, like they're quarter stitches that they're doing, or a lot of the cross stitch is actually a 1/1 in the center. So I'm not gonna switch it. I don't have a decent Lugana that would go with it instead, but I am playing fun counting games with my Ada. It feels like a poor life choice. So yes, there's a reason why they call for Lugana. If you want to do this pattern, I would suggest you use the Lugana. It would make counting and doing things so much easier, but am I going to change it? No. You're insane if you think I'm going to make a different choice now that I've done it. I now must conquer this problem. That is essentially where we've gone with it. It's like I am not going to be defeated by Ada. I am going to finish it, and then probably in the future not do this again. Learn from my lessons. So the next thing that I worked on was one of my starts for Mirabilia May. I worked on the Silver Lakes one, which is a pattern from her Patreon. And I don't know, can you see? I now have the beginning of her neck. Yep. Slowly but surely gonna finish up the white on that one, and then we'll get to work on some more colors. And that leads me to my last Mirabilia in this one. So this is Ophelia, which is that pattern. So referencing Shakespeare, Ophelia goes crazy. I have gotten that far. So I am almost so close to being finished with the hoop. At least this, yeah, the hoop. So then I will need to move the hoop in order to work on the next section. So yeah, I'm close. I am very happy with how it's turning out so far. I've now gotten to add some colors to it, right? So you can see I have some pink and orange flowers in there. I've added some green leaves. So it's not just the tan and white of her, or white and cream of her dress. I don't know what I'm stitching it on. It is a mystery fabric that I got from someone who is unloading stash. And the margins are really super tight on this one. I think on this side I might have an 1.5 inches to an inch. On this side I probably have an inch at most. On the bottom, 1/2 inch to an inch. I don't know exactly. I think I should have more of a margin on the top. Not entirely sure, but I think I do have more of a margin up top. Yeah, so my margins are really tight on this one. I also don't plan on framing. This one is probably going to get incorporated into a sewing project. But we shall see. We'll see where it goes. But I am enjoying stitching on this one. Nora Corbett does a really good job with her charting in terms of like blocking colors and making it very enjoyable to stitch. So if you are on the line about doing one of her patterns, I would say try it. There are a number of free ones out there, so if you go like search Mirabilia Designs and look for, you can even add like free, and you can find a number of different patterns. Some of them are smaller, some of them are larger. But like, if you think that you might be interested in doing one, try it out, see. She has a bunch of patterns. We're almost on 200 in the Mirabilia Designs, and there's over, cause she releases 2 or 3, I think she releases 3 Nora Corbett charts for every one Mirabilia roughly. So there's about 3 times as many Nora Corbett designs as there are Mirabilia designs. And then there's a number of free ones for the Mirabilia Designs. So there's a ton of her work out there. So if you're interested, there's probably something that you would enjoy doing. She does a really good job charting and making a very enjoyable stitch. So highly recommend. They're lots of fun. And okay, so I think I have 4 left. So 4 works in progress left, and then we'll be done with the works in progress, and we can talk a little bit about my plans. So the next one that I put a little bit of love into is this Artiste Mini kit, and it's called Tribal Love. I just added a couple of the gray lines to it for it. I haven't been putting a ton of effort into this one. We'll get around to it. It'll eventually get finished. I do have it on a antique spring hoop. I do actually really like the antique stuff. I don't know if you noticed, but a number of the things that I have been on antique ones. I was introduced to those by Stephanie from Cross Stitch the Globe. She does a bunch of hers on, she really enjoys the Duchess and Princess hoops that she has found, and I did find a couple. I do enjoy stitching with them. They are very enjoyable. I have both wooden ones and I have a couple of metal spring ones. They're fun. You can find them obviously on the secondhand market. They go for a little bit more. I've also found them in thrift stores. So I know I got a couple of hoops that way. Someone had just unloaded their loved relatives' cross stitch stuff because they didn't do it, and found a good number of them just there. So They are available if you want the more known and nicer ones. They are going to be more expensive, but you can find them for cheaper if you're willing to either put the time into repairing them, willing to wait around, or have the time and ability to go thrifting near you. Yes, so the next thing that I'm going to show you is this one. So I did put some love into this one, which is good because this is probably my oldest whip. So this is a printed cross stitch of the map of the world. I know you can't see it, but like right behind me is a map, and I have another one there. So I enjoy cartography. Cartography is beautiful. Would love to actually play around with making my own at some point in the future. In the meantime, I enjoy maps, and especially world maps up around my house. So I have a very old kit of cross stitching. So it's cross stitching one of the world maps. Yep. I worked on a little bit of the border for it, and so we got about to here. So when we get that, we'll have to go back and then finish that out. And then I think I actually get to move my cues now after that. So that'll be fun. I have 2 more projects. So the next one that I did is a Sal. So start along. I'm not going to say stitch along because I don't know if I will. My goal is to finish it, but we shall see what happens. If I get drawn elsewhere, I don't really have. Rephrase, it's not really my goal to finish it this month. It would be fun to finish it this month because it is the person's birthday who I started it along for, so let's actually say the name of this start long. So this is the Hello 40 for Stephanie from Cross Stitch Slope's birthday. It's also getting counted as a Christmas in July start, as well as an X-Stitch Xmas 365 start along. So the pattern is Merry Christmas 2020 by Liz Matthews. By Hello from Liz Matthews. Rephrase. So I'm not using any of the called for on this. I'm just basically using the chart. I am stitching it on an 28 count pink peppermint candy stripes by Fabric Flare, and I'm using DMC 4518. It's a colorist color, so a fairly recent color. And you can see I have finished up my hoop. I need to move my hoop, but it's a really cute design. I think I'm probably about a quarter of the way done with it. I really like how the variegated yarn is turning out on this one, and it shows up really nicely against the peppermint stripes, and it's very Christmassy. So it's very fun. It's a very fun stitch. I've been enjoying it. And that brings me to my final project. So my final project was a start on this. So let me show you it, and then I'll talk a little bit more about it. So this is the really, really gorgeous 14 count Aida that it is on, and this is what I have started. Okay. And then that's a needle minder that I got at the local needle shop in Indiana. Yeah. So this is fabric by Banana Oil. So I was introduced to them by Amity and Erin from Halfway Stitchers, because they have been stitching a number of things on this fabric. Well, fabric by Banana Oil. So Banana Oil does really, really gorgeous fabric. I have actually gotten I've gotten about 4 pieces from her. So this one, and then I have one other one that I ordered at the same time as this, and then 2 others. She does a gorgeous job on dyeing her fabric, and is really, really nice. In both of my orders, she sent really kind notes along with it, so I really appreciated that. It was really nice to have her like look at the stuff and like write personal notes about it. So needless to say, I saw Amity and Erin working with some of them and was like, oh, that is gorgeous. I would like to play with that. So I got some, and then I had to be like, well, what am I going to play with it with? What am I going to put on here? Because like it is beautiful, but it is also very busy. So I didn't want anything super busy to be like clashing with it. I kind of wanted to go, my background is busy, so I kind of want a pattern, like the pattern doesn't necessarily have to be stark or not busy, but it has to be simple in some ways, right? It has to somehow be simple so that it will stand out, and you're not gonna have, basically, I don't want the pattern to get lost in the fabric, and I don't want the fabric to get overwhelmed by the pattern. So, watching Amity and what she's been stitching on them, she's been doing a bunch of long dog samplers, and I was like, I haven't done one of those before. Those look interesting. Maybe I'll try one. So, guess what I am stitching on this? Yes, I am stitching a long dog sampler. So I'm actually stitching Fish and Chips by Long Dog Samplers. It's, I think, a fairly small chart. It is 6 pages. I don't do charts like other people do charts. Yeah, so this is what the pattern looks like. And yeah, like I said, I don't do charts like other people do charts. Why would I? This one was one where I did find the center, because I wasn't sure on where exactly I was going to place it, so I found the center and kind of guesstimated about where I wanted it to be, and then started in the center. Like, my first one was in the center, which obviously meant that I was going to be at the bottom of one of the pages, right? So if you do 6 pages, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so I started in the bottom of page 2. And yes, I'm going to actually finish out where my hoop is before, so my priority is to finish a hoop before moving the hoop, right? So I'm not going to do page completions and do it by page. I'm going to do it by where my hoop is. So yes, I've been playing across 3 pages. I have been playing across 3 pages of this pattern. So far with what I have been stitching. Because it just so happened that where I started stitching kind of falls along, definitely over 2 pages with a little bit shoving into page 3. Yeah. And I'm not going to be finishing any of those pages before I have to move my hoop. But I have gotten a decent way. I'm working through my motif. It's fun. I am doing an ecru on it, so it's going to be mostly a solid ecru. I think depending on how it looks, so I've got to actually do it and see if it works out. But I might be doing a couple of the smaller motifs, like there's a couple of butterflies in there and some moon and stars and like all of the backstitch. I might be doing that in a DMC Diamante color, just to provide a little bit of a bling and interest in it. So it's hopefully the color that I chose is not going to clash. I think it's fairly close to the ecru color, just shiny. And so the goal is to be like subtly different, right? Subtly different, and then kind of a very, like, it's a very detailed pattern, but it is a simple thing in that it is one color, right? So one color against the lovely contrast that you see in the actual fabric. So that is the goal. We shall see how it actually turns out. But that is the last project that I worked on this month. So, project works in progress, done. Now I get to talk a little bit about plans. So, what plans do I have? I have kind of a number of, I lost a needle somewhere. I'll have to figure out what project the needle went to. So I have one knitting plan project and then a number of cross stitch projects. So, let's start out with, this is my birth month. Actually, my birthday is this month. So my birthday's at the very end of this month. So I figured I was going to start a couple of things for my birthday because I want to, and I think it will be fun. So I'm going to start a number of projects potentially for my birthday. And some of them are just going to be kind of like normal continuation starts. So, the one knitting pattern that I plan on starting, once I finish off my shift cowl, I'm going to actually cast on the oatmeal sweater by Veronica Lindbergh, and I'm going to use the rain color that I'm using for the Katrina rib for Haiti. Use the same yarn, start the oatmeal sweater, see how it turns out. I think it'll be fun. It's a V-neck cabled pattern that looks gorgeous. She does it in a light color, and I'm gonna do it in a dark color and kind of see how that turns out. My cables won't be quite as noticeable, but it'll be a nice, like, subtle difference, I think. So that is the one and only thing that I know I'm gonna start knitting this month, because I am finishing the shift cowl. I'm pretty close to finishing it. So that brings me to my cross stitch plans. There's slightly more of them. So with my birthday, I want to start a number of things. One of them is actually related to my birthday. So the first one that I want to start is the Leo from the Zodiac Girls by Nora Corbett, because Leo. I'm a Leo, obviously. It looks like a fun design, and yeah. First thing I want to start. So, yeah, I don't know if anyone is watching this and wants to do a start along, stitch along kind of thing with me and any of my plans, feel free to let me know, and then we can coordinate later. But right now I'm not gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna do a stitch along. I don't think I have enough people to really watch. Rephrase. I have some people who are watching, but I don't know if the people who are watching want to do any of the things that I want to do. So if you want to, let me know, and we will do something. It'll be fun. So that was the first thing. The second thing is not necessarily a birthday thing that I want to start, but a Christmas in July thing. So I got this pattern, which is Joy Silhouette by the Stony Creek Collection. And it's another like monochromatic color one. I think this would be a bunch of fun for Christmas in July. Plan is to start it. I have nothing else to say about that. The next 3 are bigger projects. So I want to start some more ambitious stuff on my birthday. This is stuff that I don't expect to get finished anytime soon. This is going to be really long-term stitching goals, but we'll see how they are. Kind of three pattern makers who I've heard a lot about. I've seen some of their stuff and they're gorgeous. And they everyone talks about either the time, the size, or the specialty stitches that are included, and like that they make them more difficult, but also a bunch of fun. So I was like, well, let's do one of each because I want to. Start all of them sometime in July for my birthday. So that being said, I have a small Heaven and Earth design that I want to do. So artwork is by Amy Stewart, and it is Joy, Faith, Hope, and Love. So that one. This one I do want to start this month. It's 18 pages. Supposed to be only 13 by 9.5 inches. Big. But I really enjoyed it. It looks fun. So that is the first of the larger projects that I would like to start. The second is a pattern from this book called The Best of Teresa Winslow. So I actually want to start, let me see if I can find it real fast. I want to start, where are the pictures? There they are, found it. I want to start this one, the Pegasus. So I don't know if in my other videos, so I have changed shooting locations today. I'm in my living room because the lighting is better, and I'm not going to get hopefully not going to get the lines across my face that I get in my bedroom because the sun is blocked from coming in a little bit better in here. Anyways, I don't know if you saw, but in the background in my room I've started essentially a gallery wall in my bedroom of stuff that I've done / artwork that I enjoyed. And so far the majority of the stuff on that wall is horses. I like horses. So doing the Pegasus, which is a very pretty design. It's got a bunch of like forest in the background, which looks fun. And having another horse piece to put up on my wall sounds like a good thing to do in my book. So that's the second one that I want to start. And then the third one is one of these. So yes, I do want to start shadowing. I want to do one of the mandala garden, the knot garden. It looks obviously fun and a little bit different. So we shall see about it. Yeah. I think it'll be fun. Yeah, so those are my plans. I haven't kitted most of this stuff up. And I'm not going to fully. So I'm also going to let you into another little secret in my stitching life. I don't typically, I will start something and not have it fully kitted up. I'm that kind of person. As long as I have the fabric and at least some of the colors, I am pretty comfortable starting. So on these, it's basically just finding the fabric that I plan on putting them on. So once I have the fabric that I am happy with, that I plan on putting them on, I will be ready to start them. I'm not gonna sit around and wait until I have all of the fabrics and all of the threads and all of the specialty stuff for it. I can get some of that stuff later, as long as I have at least the fabric and a couple, if not only one of the threads that I need to start it, I can go ahead and start it. So those are my plans. I do have one other plan in my finishes. Either my finishes or my last one, I mentioned that I had some patterns that I had done myself and I wanted to start again. I do want to start one of those. I want to do one of my cross stitch ones, and then I want to start on one of the other ones. So another tangent, talking about this, in the Flosstube University, in Flosstube University, watching the Thread Gremlins, I saw, I believe it was Elizabeth, who was doing the 100 shades, and it's like a black work design where instead of doing crosses like cross stitch, it's essentially a bunch of, I think, back stitches to create the patterns or something fairly similar to that. And seeing that, I was like, oh, a lot of the patterns in here that I have done, it's essentially like a liner, right? So I did it on gridded paper. I didn't necessarily do colors. I was doing like halves and stuff like that. So it's like, oh, I might possibly be designing more like black work designs instead of cross stitch on some of these. So I do want to start, so like all of my alphabets, like you can do that, you could do them as cross stitch. If you wanted to, you could easily do it. There are going to be a number of specialty like quarter stitches in there, probably a couple of half stitches if you were to do it that way. And there would be a ton of back stitch. And I might in the future potentially start a project doing that. But I think I want to do it like I started it, right? So I just want to do the lines initially. So that being said, I want to start the alphabet that I have in here, which I think is pretty much black work. So I want to do the alphabet, and I want to get one of my fruits done. So I've done the pear, which is joy, and I have the heaven and earth designs, which is joy, faith, hope, and love. And I'm pretty sure a couple of those also show up in my fruit that I did, so fruit of the spirit. So if I start one of those, I think we can coordinate. I want to do some fruits. So I want to get one of my fruits done. I want to start on the letters from this, so it is technically more plans. Starting letters for that, and then hopefully do a bunch more starts this month. Yay! And I'm sure I'm gonna have some other ones probably scattered in there that I haven't even seen on the radar yet. So I have been talking for a while. I'm not sure how long this video is. We shall find out, I guess, in editing. I talked for a bit. Anyways, so I don't think I have anything else to say. The people that I mentioned in this video are awesome. You should go and check them out. So let's see if I can remember some of them. So there's Veronica Lindbergh, Kudavik Kika, great to watch, love her knitting patterns, aka Nora Knits, Very enjoyable to watch. A fairly new knitter. Great ideas. The Stash Bus Spring Knit Along was great. Love that. Cross Stitch the Globe with Stephanie and I'm blanking now. I see it in my head and I cannot say it. I watch me remember it as soon as Allison. There we go. Stephanie and Allison. So Cross Stitch the Globe with Stephanie and Allison. Wonderful to watch. Hilarious. Love watching the sisters. Hathaway Stitchers, Amity and Erin sisters. Very fun to watch. Thread Gremlins. Ooh, Amy Elizabeth and I don't remember the third one. So I've just started watching them. They're really fun to watch. I suggest you go and watch them, obviously. I think that covers everybody who I mentioned in passing or more frequently. If you enjoyed this and you want to see more, feel free to like and subscribe. If you would like to interact more with me, feel free to leave a comment below or follow me on Instagram. I'm also there as Turnbull's Threads. Yeah, I don't think I have any other business that anyone should know about. So, now that I am done, have a good evening, good weekend, good day. And I guess I'll hope to see you again next month. Should be next month, after my birthday. So, all of that, have yourself a great time. Enjoy your stitching, enjoy your crafting, and hope to see you again. Bye!